Thank you, David. We have Rita Endicott, Leslie Mesimer, and Tracy Harrington. Okay. All right, Rita, you were called first.
Well, my husband is a preacher and I'm not. And I usually avoid this, so I've taken notes about 4 times and I probably will be all over the place, but I'm just going to try to say what's on my heart. I married a man who had 3 children and I had 2 of my own. We couldn't have any together. And we were blessed to adopt a multi-handicapped child who is the only one left at home now. He's 8. He was a cocaine positive child at birth, and then he contracted bacterial meningitis, and he has multiple handicaps. If these cuts happen, he'll no longer have any of the therapies that he receives. He'll no longer have, which a lot of people have said things that I wanted to say, so I don't want to repeat a lot of it, but Joshua, I even brought a picture. I wanted to bring him tonight, but I thought it would be so packed. I'm a little disappointed that it's not as packed as it is. But he is such a charming little child. They told me when we left the hospital that he would be a vegetable. And within 2 months in therapy, he was smiling at himself in a mirror. The progression just began from there. With all the services that he receives, he now walks like Frankenstein, but he walks. He takes about 8 to 10 steps independently and then he also walks with a walker. He practically runs with a walker now. He is signing. He loves food. He goes to the high chair. He climbs up in the high chair now, and when he's done eating, he looks at you and he kind of makes a funny noise, and I'm like, "What do you want?" Sign to him, and he'll go like this, and this is get down. He's communicating with me, and he's just now learning to use the tech talk. I can't tell you how many hours we've spent training this child, working with this child. He will greatly digress if these services are cut, and I hate to see him go back to a vegetable state. I can't imagine that, but it would greatly affect this child. I also have another child who works for a home and community support service, who I'm blessed to have as my worker. She doesn't live in my home, so the rules allow that if you have a family member, they don't live in your home, they can work for you as a CAP worker. She's my CAP worker. She's also enrolled in school to be a special education teacher. Why are we paying for all this education if that job isn't going to be there in 2 years? It's aggravating. I don't know what to tell her. She has her own apartment. She has her own bills. What is she going to do if she can't do that? She can't move back home because she won't, she could because she won't be my CAP worker anymore. But anyway, so that affects 2 of my children. It affects my income because I would have to quit working. I wouldn't have health insurance anymore or the money to pay for all the other things. I also feel like these CAP workers are the extension of my arm. I've heard this saying that it takes a community to raise a handicapped child. You can also put autistic child in there. You can put handicapped child because one parent or 2 parents cannot raise one handicapped child on their own. They require too many things. Joshua has, from his head to his toe, multiple things that have to be worked on daily. And you're exhausted by the end of the day if you're the only person doing it. And I literally rely on those CAP workers. I got a job so I could get health insurance, but also to have a break from the 24-hour one-on-one with Joshua. Anyway, I would hate to see these cuts. I think there are other areas that they need to step back and look at where they can make cuts and stop looking at the June 30th deadline and say, oh, we got to make cuts and let's just flippantly make these cuts here without seeing faces to the numbers that they're cutting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Leslie Mesimer.
Well, they're, like most of you, trying to decide where to start to convince the legislators what it is we do, our need, our value, what we mean to these families.
Please step up to the microphone.
I'm sorry, I have one of those very soft voices. Two of the children that I've been in the homes this week alone, where the parents are sitting on the floor with me while we're working on therapy, going, what does this mean for my child? That's a tough spot for us to be in right now, trying to answer these questions. One child was born 23 weeks premature. She receives OT, PT, speech, and CBRS. Her mother does not know what will happen if these services are pulled. She requires so much. She's a sweet, precious little girl, and it takes everything her mom has right now. You know, she had a shunt failure, just keeping her at a level where she's not regressing. She's very concerned about what will happen with the skills that we have fought so hard to get for her. The other child that I've seen this week, the mom works at a dry cleaner. She works for minimum wage. She is a single mom of 3 boys. She comes home from her job. She presses clothes, so she's usually pretty hot and sweaty at the end of the day, and sits on the floor with me on Mondays and Fridays. And she watches everything I do and carries us on the entire rest of the week. Her son was diagnosed with autism. He has made phenomenal progress. So I do just want to advocate for the families to show our need. I think there's so much research on what we do and the birth of 3 population. And if we take these services, it is going to cost North Carolina in the long run. I also am a small business owner, and my husband's also a self-employed CPA. So, you know, he keeps saying, gosh, have they not looked at the numbers of what this is going to do to small business owners? We are the foundation. We keep hearing that on a national level. You know, let's not cut the legs out from under small business owners to try and balance a budget. It's not going to work. And, you know, just the number of SLPs being at, I think, 5,600 in the state is the number we keep hearing. That's the speech therapists. We're not talking about the CBRS workers yet, the OTs, the PTs, these large numbers of people that this will employ. So I really do just beg the legislators. I know most of these folks are there trying to do the right thing. They are in a tough spot. As families, we sit down, we look at our budgets, and we go, okay, where can we cut? What is needed? And for these families, I want to get across to the legislators, this is not fat on the budget. This is not an extra. This is not a luxury item for these families. This is an essential need. And we just hope that they understand and get our message. And thank you for your time.